I tell this story all the time. It's one of my things that just drove me nuts. It shows you the culture that we have. Is my stepson was in school and he trains martial arts ever since we were together. And he's at school and this kid is picking another kid, and finally Marcus kind of intervenes. Well, the kid is actually now at this point, I forgot how it went, but the kid's on top of another child. And they're like middle school, 7th or 8th grade. It's junior high. And so he's beating up the kid. So my son pulls him off, throws him off. Hey man, and so as he goes to help the other kid up, the kid now is angry that Marcus intervened on his fun to bully this kid. And so he picks up his band instrument and hits the kid that he was beating up. Had a band instrument. He was getting beat in band class. I'm sure there's some jokes in there somewhere. But he picks it up and he hits my son in the back of the head. Well, Marcus turns around, and as the kid loads up another shot, he drops him with a right hand and then, mounts him, And so he's like, hey, stop. And so he grabs the kid by the shirt. The kid now is, petrified because he doesn't know what a fight is. He's never been in one in his life, a bully, but having someone, hit him in the face and take him down and mount him, scared him. A teacher witnessed all this so I'm not even getting this information from him. I'm getting this information from another adult going, yeah, I saw what was going on. I was trying to get there. It was during, lunchtime. There's a bunch of kids, a fight, so I'm trying to get through bodies. I'm watching this happen. He goes, he was completely within, yeah. I'm like, oh, cool. So we're good, right? They're like, well, no, he's suspended for 2 weeks. What? Yeah. Well, we have a zero violence policy. I'm like, so wait a minute. So if we were in the street, I said that to the guy, and at this point, his hands are tied. It's policy set by our government, right? I'm like, if you hit me with an instrument and I punched you in the face, took you down, and didn't hurt you, I just nullified the violent act, and I controlled the situation, let you go, get up. I didn't break your arms. I didn't go and drop 15 elbows on your face. I didn't go and become the aggressor. No cop in his right mind is going to arrest me. In fact, you might still get arrested for hitting me with an instrument, for attacking me with a deadly weapon. Right? What are we teaching our children? You can't fight back. You can't, sometimes violence is the appropriate answer, and it's the right answer in the right dosages. Obviously, hell, water in excess can kill you, right? You drink too much water. There was that lady who tried to do the call-in show, and she killed herself by drinking too much water, right? We look it up, but it's basically your body doesn't have enough you dilute your body so much that you can't fire off, your heart stops, right? Because you're too diluted. You don't have enough minerals, or the electrolytes have been spread out too far, too diluted. And so you could drink, water can kill you, so obviously anything in excess. I'm not saying life's about balance. Nothing to an extreme is great. But then you tell these children they can't do these things, they can't speak out, they can't talk, they have to suffer. And then they wonder why guys just, they put on the black, robe and show up at school one day, and it's like, I've had enough. Well, it's because he never got it out of his system. We're not allowed to. So going back to your question, long-worded way, it's very frustrating in our world that we protect guys to act like assholes. There's no retribution for it. There's no consequences for bad behavior. There's no more manners, really. That's why we have such a rude culture. Manners originated because of dueling. I tell people all the time, when the duel was a very prominent thing in Europe, people had to devise a form of conduct to have manners. Because if you didn't, someone could call you out to a duel. Yeah, hey man, tomorrow we're gonna fight. And I don't care, if you and I right now, I'm a trained martial artist, you've trained, you've done fights, but there's a little bit of a difference in the two of us. If even right now we go fight with knives, right? There's no guarantee that I'm gonna hit you with a knife, right, and not get cut back. So you're talking 1500s, that's before penicillin, guys. One scratch, and you might die, right? So if you wanted to duel somebody, even if you were the baddest dueler in the world, there was a chance you can still meet, your maker, right? And so people then had to learn, well, if I'm going to be rude or I'm going to have a problem with you, I better make sure it's worth it. If it's not, I better apologize and act accordingly and treat people properly and act right because your ass was on the line. Nowadays, people they can act however they want. Guys can run up and down a bus, act a moron. You can't do nothing about it because if you stand up and go, hey man, sit down, act right, fucking there's grandparents over there, there's children over here, what the fuck are you doing right now? You know what I mean? All of a sudden, who's the one in trouble? Because I went ahead and tried to correct a violent behavior, well, what was he doing? I'm like, he was acting like a moron. He was scaring everybody. Well, what did you do? Well, I grabbed him and threw him in his fucking seat. You touched him? I'm like, oh, Jesus, guys. He was acting like an idiot. But that's the way we're set up right now. So it's a very frustrating society to live in right now.